Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. I got a question for you. What opens with a long, bitter land bridge journey, and what closes with Laura leaving the morgue? If you guessed American Gods Episode 5, Lemon Scented You, then you're correct. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for clicking and sticking around for my recap and review. Subscribe, comment, like, share, all those other good things. Okay, so so there's snow. There's a shot of snowflakes, snow. We hear that there's a long, bitter journey across the land bridge from Siberia. Ain't that where they send people to? I guess that's why they're trying to get away from it. That's where they send people to for punishment these days, right? And the characters, the people, the images seem to be animated, right? Did you notice that? They were like, not like straight up cartoons, but like animated type characters, images. And there's the burying of a baby. We hear that these people are not alone. So we're back in the rhythm where we have a God story at the beginning of the show. When they arrive to where I guess they thought it was going to be a land of milk and honey, there is no food. The woman, she goes and she speaks to Nanuinity, I don't know. She speaks to the goddess, and the goddess says there's a terrible price to pay to escape the starvation. And so I think that she ends up dying, the person who's like the oracle, or is that the god who dies? I wasn't really clear. I wasn't really clear. I'll be honest. I was not clear. Were you clear? Did you understand? So anyway, the narrator says gods live, gods die, and soon Nanuinity, or any, I got it spelled two different ways. Dang, that's terrible. Was entirely forgotten. But this is a case in point. I can't even pronounce the god's name. That lets you know it's forgotten. Just gone, forgotten. I watched the thing. I don't even remember already. Okay. So then we see Moon as he walks into his hotel room. We're basically picking up the sequence that we've now seen the lead up to from two different perspectives. That's Laura sitting on Moon's hotel room bed, and Laura says, "Hey baby," or she says, "Hey puppy," and he says, "Hey baby, what are you doing here? Are you real? We got some unresolved issues to discuss." And Laura's like, yes, but we also need to discuss and appreciate the miracle of me sitting here posthumously. And Moon is like, you rising from the dead, it's my new normal, baby, since I left prison. So don't think you can distract me from you and Robbie with rising from the dead. That ain't nothing. And Laura is like, I thought it could maybe, hopefully, possibly be true when I said I could wait. But what had happened is that I waited it 13 months. That's like a baker's year. And I blame it on the alcohol and the grief. And I love you. When I died, I was very blah about the whole thing. I think a cigarette might calm our nerves. So Moon leaves to go to get a cigarette from the machine. Did they even have cigarette machines anymore? I can't remember when the last time is that I've seen one. Moon feels himself being watched as he goes back to the room. And there's no Laura when he gets there. So he says, Laura's in the tub. She says, "In here, puppy. I thought it might be nice if I were warm to the touch, in case you were thinking about touching me or kissing me." And she dipping her lips under the water. "I don't want you kissing cold lips." What? And then Moon is like, "Normally people die and stay in their graves." And Laura's like, "Maybe. I mean, I used to think like that too. Now I'm not so sure." And then we see a crow flying down the hall. It's knocking on the door. Wednesday opens the door, and he's like, yeah, what is it? Slow down. What? He talking to the crow on the floor. Then we see Laura still in the tub. She's smoking. She says she can't taste it. It's not doing anything for her nerves or otherwise. And then Shadow lays her wedding ring on the table, and it kind of like cycles around. And Laura is like, you want to put that on my finger? And Moon is like, when I called you the last time, I think I knew you were going to die. It's a big storm rolling and nothing feels okay. And Laura is like, this feels okay. Laura gets out of the tub, stitches over her breast and her tummy, and we can see where her arm was sewn on, but she is totally unbothered and confident. She don't have no body confidence issues. She's comfortable. And she says, I'm sure there are some things in our marriage that we'll have to work on. And Moon is, he says, like, what, you being dead? And Laura looks at him, looking at her body. And she kind of, you know how you kind of make some, well, men might not know this, but women, you know, you can make somebody look you in your eye, especially if y'all got some kind of relationship. So she kind of she creates eye contact. And then she kisses him. And it's like she's being illuminated by his light. And her heart almost beat it. And she says, I felt that. Almost like I was alive. Did I feel alive? And Moon is like, yeah. And Laura was like, I don't know much more now than before I died, but I do know that I love you. You got yourself in a mess, but I'm looking out for you. I looked out for you. Thanks for my gift, the coin. And Moon is like, I know somebody who's looking for that. And Laura is like, well, they can't have it. It's mine now. Are you still my puppy? And then Moon is like, nah. And then there's a knock at the door. And Wednesday standing at the door. He like, you still awake? Man, I need a drink. 1 or 5 or 6 drinks. What is that smell? And Shadow is like, I just need to wrap my head around what I've seen. You know, so I'm not going to go out for this drink. And then we see that Laura's back in the tub. And then like 2 or 3 cop cars pull up. I had 3 or 4, but I'm thinking it's just 2 or 3. And a woman is pointing a gun at Shadow and Wednesday. And she's like, hands up where I can see him. And then she's saying, you know, it didn't take long. Been out all of 6 days. All of this has happened in 6 days? Man, you're under arrest. Bank robbery. And then Wednesday and Shadow are cuffed. And then we see Laura. She's underwater. Then she's in the room and she's watching the light of Moon recede. So first she's underwater, then she's sitting in the room and she can see the light of the moon receding. And then we see the youngest man, that's Technology Boy, and he's walking down the steps that kind of have a laser light design thing, projection going on him. And he's smoking and he's walking through an empty lot toward the car. And as he's walking, the lights are going off like street lights. And then he notices the little computer ball. We've seen it before. I can't exactly remember where. And then Technology Boy finds himself in a bench seat, kind of like in the back seat of a car. But it seems to be, maybe he's inside the orb. And across from him, there's another seat that's moving closer. And there's the red-headed, blue-suited woman. Now, is this the same woman who played Lucy? I didn't quite understand. But she's like, you know, you got an image problem. You need to figure out how you want Mr. World to see you. Look, you beating up the wrong guy. And the man is like, please give Mr. World, the young guy, Technology Boy, please give Mr. World my sincere apology. And the woman is like, Mr. World doesn't want your apology. Re-gift your apology to Wednesday and his man, Shadow Moon. And the man is like, are you fucking with me? Technology Boy is like, are you fucking with me? And the woman is like, Mr. World expects it to be sincere. And then the man is like, you are delusional if you think he is letting go of what he is building with a little old apology. Mass fucking delusion. And then the woman is like, delusion? If they believe it, it's true. It doesn't have to be everybody doesn't have to believe it, just enough people to believe it. That's all Mr. Wednesday needs, just enough. And then the woman recedes into a dimly lit ball. It kind of looks like a moon, maybe. Okay, so then we see Moon's face, and then we hear a woman's voice. And she's like, your boss doesn't seem to have a name, ID, record. You've got all of that, Mr. Moon. And then Moon says, lawyer. Okay, so Moon says lawyer, and then the woman's voice is like, I didn't catch that. And then we see the woman sitting. It's a black woman detective. Is that the same one who arrested him? I didn't know she was black. But the cop woman is like, you're probably wondering how two countrified cops even caught you. It's a good story. Just ask. And Moon, he sees the camera and he's like, lawyer, please. And then we see 3 shots of Mr. Wednesday at an interrogation table, like in another room. And then Wednesday being interrogated, he's playing crazy and senile. And then we're back to Moon's investigator, the black woman detective. And she says, I get it, a week out of jail, old time grifter gets with you. But he's mixed up, and whether you realize it or not, he's mixed up in something big, and whether you realize it or not, you about to get got. Yeah, that's better. And then Moon is like, lawyer. And then Wednesday's investigator, who's a white man, is like, what are you doing in Chicago? And Wednesday is like, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. You want the truth, man? It's like, yeah, the truth. And Wednesday is like, I'm recruiting a bunch of old but still vital old gods into a war with the new gods who very rightly fear us. They should fear me, but they don't. And then Moon's investigator is like, not your average case. Take a moment and consider before answering. Does your boss have enemies? And then Moon is like, lawyer. He basically, that's all he said so far. Lawyer, please, lawyer. And then the woman is like, I asked about your boss's enemies because an anonymous tip dropped up on our laps. An anonymous tip dropped you on our laps of facts on a machine that's been off for years. It gave us your location, your GPS, the make and model of the car, the mileage, the VIN number of the caddy. And Moon is kind of like, you got my attention. And then Wednesday is, continuing with his story. Now, the leprechaun, he been against it from the beginning. A Nazi comes from the perspective of the bitterly dispossessed. And then we see the woman talking, Moon's interrogator. And she's like, 2 rural police, same company that found Osama, as in Osama bin Laden, is dropping 2 no-name grifters into our hands. You have to have big enemies. We might be able to work a deal. I mean, losing a wife has got to be complicated. She don't know the half of it, does she? And then we see Shadow. And then we see a shot of Laura's wedding ring vibrating. And then we see Laura. She's getting out of the water. She's putting on a shirt. And then Mad Sweeney, the leprechaun, bursts in. You're the wife. The dead wife. Give me my fucking coin, dead wife. He grabs her. We see an illuminated image of the coin. I didn't know if it was in her throat, but I guess it's under her rib cage. And she flicks him like a fly. And he flies across the room. And then Laura is crunching down and like on his hand or something, and he's softly crying and gasping, like she's hurting him. And then she says, you mean my fucking coin? And then Sweeney's reaching at her. The dead can't own things. That's what wills are for. And then Laura smacks his hand, and it like really hurts him. And she's like, my hubby gave me that, Gingy. And then Sweeney is like, that coin is for royalty. I could give it to the king of the United States, but not that ragamuffin you with. I gave him the wrong coin. Just give me my coin back. You'll never see me again if you do. And then Laura's tying her shoe. She like, nah. And then Sweeney tries to scare her into giving back the coin. She's very relaxed, not even intimidated. She notices that she's hurting him. She throws him on the floor to stand on his hand. I'm going to ask you some questions. That's what Laura says to Sweeney. And he's in pain. Answer me, or I'll kick you in the nuts. And then Sweeney is like, Wednesday, he told me to be at the bar to pick a fight with your man. Wednesday wanted to know what your man was made of. And then Laura gets off his hand. He rolls away. He's nursing his wounds. And then he's like, your man shouldn't trust Wednesday. I'll give you another coin. It's just as good. I'll give you a shitload of coins. And then he's like, you know, doing his little trick where he has all the coins or whatever. And Laura's like, just as good? Nah. I don't feel like any of those measures up to my coin. You can't take it, can you? I have to give it to you freely. You're fucked. Because I'm never, ever, ever, never, 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 ever, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never, 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 never gonna give it to you. And then Sweeney is like, the meat is gonna fall off your bones sooner or later, dead wife. Sooner, if you keep soaking in hot water, you're gonna liquefy. You're gonna cook in the moist heat. Then I'm gonna reach under your ribs and pluck it right out. And then he lunges at her, and he pushes her into the tub, and he's choking her. And then the police burst in, and Laura plays dead. And Sweeney's arrested. And he says, I'm going to get you, dead wife. And she's like underwater, and she smiles. And then I said she's still underwater. And then we see Moon brought into a room with Wednesday by the black woman cop who had been interrogating Shadow Moon. And the woman is like, you know, to Wednesday, he's loyal. So you talk about whatever you need to talk about, then I want to hear it. And she shows Wednesday the picture. And then Wednesday is like, I have nothing to talk about. And the woman leaves. And then Wednesday is working to get free out of the cuffs. He's like, we got to get out of here. Those pictures are a particular God's eye view of the world. And then Moon is like, how'd you get out of the cuffs? And Wednesday is like, see that spider? That's a friend of mine. And then Moon is like, who's after you? And then the lights go out. And then Marilyn Monroe comes into the room. She's floating. I didn't notice that. But Moon is like, you know, I love Lucy. How the fuck are you floating? And then, and I wouldn't realize it was the same one. And then I Love Lucy is like, in her Marilyn Monroe voice, and she has on the same type of dress of the, you know, the grate scene where she's over the grate, and then the wind blows up, and then, or the exhaust from underneath the ground blows up, and then she's pushing down her dress, and she says, happy birthday, Mr. President. And then, they say I killed myself. The CIA killed me unless I tell some unwanted Kennedy tales. And then Moon is like, this isn't real. And then Lucy is like, it's Technicolor or whatever. And then the cameras go out, and then we hear footsteps. And then the man in the suit, Mr. World, he says, comes in. He says, hi. I should have introduced myself. I should have introduced myself to you ages ago. To be honest, I didn't see you. Not like this. You are huge. It's nice to meet you. And Wednesday is like, do not talk to him, to Moon. Do not say a word. And then the suited man, Mr. World, is like, I already know you. You don't have to say a word. You are a person. I know people. All of them. You are Shadow Moon. Blood type O. Your recurring nightmare is blah, 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 blah. You like Swiss cheese better than cheddar. This is the face you make when you masturbate. Like your mother. She had 86 sexual partners in her life. It might have been 87. I have everything right here. And he's banging on his head or whatever, and then his head kind of deconstructs. And then Marilyn Monroe, she clears her throat. And the suited man is like, yes, yes. Like, you know, he got to stay focused. And then he's like, is he still sulking? And then the young man, Techno Boy from earlier, comes in and he says to Moon, I'm sorry for lynching you. It was in very poor taste. I don't want to add to the weird climate of hate in the country. And then the suited man, Mr. World, grabs the young man, Techno Boy, and drags him over the Moon. Would you like to hit him a little bit? Knock out his 2 front teeth? And Shadow is like, no. And then the suited man, Mr. World, is like to Techno Boy, I absolve you. You may sit. You have something to say? To the other man? I think that's what it is. And then the younger man, Techno Boy, he's wearing black and white and his hair is braided. And he says, technology is evolving. I can help you influence opinions and beliefs like never before. And then Lucy, Marilyn, is like, we want to help you find your audience. And then the suited man, Mr. World, is like, we're not here to fight. And then Wednesday is like, oh, you want a truce? And Techno Boy is like, that would imply that we were in a war. And then Marilyn is like, a merger. Like potato chips and champagne. Have you ever had potato chips and champagne? It's like a brand new you. Wouldn't you like a brand new you, an upgrade? A lemon scented you. And then Wednesday is like, I keep getting better every year. And then Mr. World is like, okay, I get it. You are an individualist, but it's all connected. One single product manufactured by one single company for everyone, spicy, smooth, or crunchy. But they are buying salsa. And then show them. And then images flash on the wall. And then Marilyn, she's like, the Odin missile. I think Mr. Wednesday is the god Odin. And she's like, it's hitting North Korea. They will know your name. Lickety split. You know, she does this whole pitch, of, a way for his name to get back on people's mouths, because he gets more power. The more people say his name, the more power he has. The more people worship him or fear him or whatever, the more people who pay him dust, the more power he has. And then Wednesday is like oyster. Inside every pearl, there is an irritating grain of sand. That's me. Or you wouldn't be here. You trying to cover me up with something smooth and pretty? You say merger, I hear exile. You only occupy their time. We gave back. We gave meaning. And then Mr. World says, give it to him again. And then he gets his hat and he walks out. And Techno Boy is like, you leaving? He's here. You got him. You're letting him go? You keep letting him go. And then Mr. World is like, I'm giving him the opportunity to consider. And then Techno Boy is like, why? You have him. And then World is like, this man is older than you will ever be. He has wisdom, knowledge. This man deserves our respect. And then Techno Boy is like, fuck respect. And then Marilyn is like, and she blows a kiss. And when it hits him, it knocks a couple of his teeth out. And then Mr. World says to Shadow, my gift to you, as we see the teeth falling onto the floor. And then Marilyn is like, when you tell this story, Shadow, tell it however you like or don't. And then Mr. World is like, I am not your enemy. And they exit. And then the lights come back on and Moon is like, is this real? Did that just happen? And Wednesday is like, it's still happening. And then they're leaving the jail slowly and there's flashing blue lights. And then the two interrogators were dead. One is strung up in a mesh of wires and then the other is sitting in a chair. I don't know, but it's like technology got them basically. And then we see an eye form in the wall. And then outside, the cop pulls up with Mad Sweeney and the leprechaun, and Wednesday and Moon pause, and then the cop radios to the station from outside of the station. Then Moon gets caught by the branches of the tree are trying to catch him. That was the eye that formed on the wall. Then it became the branches of the tree. And then they go out the back door, Moon and Wednesday. And then the tree branches are in close pursuit. And then Sweeney hears and sees two shots from inside the station. And then he breaks himself out of the cop car and he runs away in cuffs. And then we see a white man looking at a computer, and he's in a morgue, and he comes to check. I guess he hears a noise, and he's looking around, then he hears a noise from the drawer, and then whoosh, the drawer just slams open, and he gets slammed into as Laura bursts out. And then Laura looks in the mirror, and then she kisses herself, mwah, and then she's touching the dead body, and then she picks up a bag that says Jane Doe, and starts walking. That's what I got, y'all. That was American Gods, episode 5, Lemon Scented You. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, and for being you, being fabulous you. Have a wonderful day, fabulous. And I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do either another one of these or Handmaid's Tale soon, very soon. And I will, I don't know what else is coming on, but that's what I got. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, on Sunday we got Potomac and Cabo. And on Monday we got Divas, Daytime Divas, and Basketball Wives. Is that everything? All right, I think that's everything. So I'll see you soon. Bye.